And I think we should start. তোমার mic mute করা।
Sorry. Hi everyone, welcome to our second week of Start Smart. Today we will also be joined by some students from Education USA, as Education USA is sort of advertising and powering this session. So welcome to anyone who's come here through Education USA. We request you to mute your mic. Video is optional, and you can ask any questions through chat. We would appreciate if you wait until the end of our presentations to ask the questions. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, today's topic is essays. So we'll be covering Common App, activity essays, and why major and why college essays. So just also want to introduce ourselves for people from Education USA. My name is Amlan. I'm a third-year graduate student. And this is Shoiti.
I'm a second-year graduate student. All right, so I will try to share my screen like every day. Let's see if it works. Do you see the screen? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to talk about the different types of essays. So there are two main types of essays. One is not college specific, which is like the Common App essay. This is an essay that talks about you. And there are other college specific essays, which on Common App are also known as supplementary essays. Among them are activity essay, like what activity are you the most proud of, or what activity do you want to talk about? And then there's why major or why college essay, why do you want to study here, or why do you want to study this subject? And there are open-ended essays, which are really witty questions, and you have to come up with witty answers for them. So these are some of the Common App essay prompts from last year. And if you read all of them, you'll see that all the options are pretty much open-ended. You can write about anything you want. So there are a bunch of things that I'd like to mention that are worth keeping in mind. First of all, it's important to know the logistical aspects of your essay. What is the word limit? And you should be writing in correct grammar. In terms of structure, you should be choosing good words. You should be varying your sentence structure. You should organize your essay legibly so that the reader understands what you're trying to say. And it should have a good intro and a good conclusion so that it grabs the reader's attentions. In terms of content, the content should be specific to you, not generic. It should be genuine. It should come from your personal experiences. It should have an overall positive tone. The impact of the essay, it should be meaningful to you and to the reader. It should be insightful. It should tell the admission committee something about you, and it should stand out from the others, which is really difficult to, which is really the thing that everyone struggles with. So that's the one thing that makes or breaks an application. Does your essay stand out? Or in other words, do you stand out? Here are some Common App essay do's and don'ts. So here are some things that you should be doing. For example, you should be writing from personal experiences. You should not make anything up. You should write about something that's very important to you. Do not write about anything that you think the admission committee wants to hear. Do not write about something that someone can understand from the rest of your application. For example, do not turn the essay into a description of your resume. Do not say that, oh, I won these and these Olympiads, I went to this and this clubs. Do not write about that. It's best not to write about academic interests, ECAs, achievements, or anything else that's mentioned elsewhere in the application. Try to show a specific incident or experience, for example, where you prove to be a good leader instead of telling them that, you know what, I'm a really good leader. So show, don't tell is the one single thing that admission officers tell students to do. And in your essay, you should always be very modest, sensitive, and courteous. Do not come off as arrogant, hostile, ignorant, and insensitive. you should try to vary sentence structure and experiment with your writing, and such that the writing is very poetic and beautiful, but at the same time do not use flowery language, do not pick random words from thesaurus and just use a bunch of words that you don't even know the meaning of. That's not how to write a good essay. And always start early rather than late, because writing an essay requires multiple iterations of revisions and rewriting, and that's very important that you start early. So now we will read an essay. I am going to try and read it, and then Amnan's going to discuss it with you guys. So this essay is titled Beauty, so I'll read it out loud. People say that inner beauty matters more than outer beauty, but when I looked into the mirror and saw my face covered with unsightly blemishes, it was hard to tell myself that and believe it. By the time I entered high school, my acne had gotten worse, and my self-esteem was at an all-time low. So in the summer of 9th grade, I embarked on an unexpectedly difficult and emotionally trying quest for clear skin, an experience that culminated in one of my proudest achievements. My typical daily diet consisted of sugary cereal for breakfast, salty turkey sandwiches, soda and chips for lunch, a candy bar for snack, and rice and fried noodles for dinner. I never thought that my diet would be a cause of my acne, but the possibility first came to me when I was reading a skincare article. Desperate for a cure, I searched clear skin diet on the internet. The websites that turned up all echoed the same message. A balanced and healthy diet is crucial for beautiful skin. The recommended foods listed included large portions of fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and fish, 8 glasses of water daily, and only small amounts of high sodium, high fat, and high sugar food. I researched further and found that the expensive chemical cleansers that I had been using were not the answer. Gentle face washes and a coat of sunblock were inexpensive products that could reduce breakouts. I knew that changing my entire diet and skincare routine would require a tremendous amount of commitment and willpower, but determined to improve my skin and my self-confidence, I began to transform my lifestyle. I started by incorporating fruits and vegetables into my meals and replacing sugary cereal with whole grains, chips with carrots, and fried noodles with salmon. For a long, painful week, I stuck to this diet and restrained myself from any junk food. My skin condition changed gradually but substantially. By the end of the week, my skin was noticeably smoother, clearer, and brighter. Yet I found myself relapsing, unable to continue for long without indulging myself, unable to swallow the horribly plain salads and chewy carrots. Every time I stopped, the acne came back. It came to the point where I despised the acne and coveted the clear skin enough to force myself back on track. It became an excruciating pattern of cravings and self-restraint. I struggled with these two impulses until I became used to healthy eating, even enjoying it. Now, 2 years later, my skin is better than ever, and I have never gone back to eating the way I had before. I have no awards or medals to show for my particular achievement, but no academic distinction in the world can match what I gained from my experience with changing my diet, healthier skin, self-confidence, and newfound mental strength. Above all, I realized that by improving my outer appearance, I had enriched my inner appearance. So now Amon can help you discuss this essay. You're muted.
Sorry. Okay. So before. Okay. Cool. All right. So before I talk about it, let's take 2 minutes and come up with words that come to mind when you read this essay. So because we're all muted, let's use the chat for discussion. And for those of you who are asking, this essay is from the book called 50 Successful Ivy League Essays, which was in the to-do list for this session. So আমরা 2 minute ধরে let's discuss Progha. Let's talk about what we liked and what we disliked about this essay. Chiranton, আমিও বাংলায় কথা বলি. That's very interesting. Let's move on to the essay discussion part. Okay, but be more specific. Kiki, what makes this essay different from a generic essay? बहुत बार क्यों सुने?
That's good.
Any word
That's
is
good. Proga said that I love that it's a she, tried hard, but later realized that it does not matter.
all right. We'll give you 1 more minute.
So that's
to
a
end it.
realization. Good. Personal
Doesn't talk about academic progress. Excellent. Yes. Shapil asked me, is it relevant to admissions essay? Yes, it is. This is an example admissions essay, I think, for Yale.
Yale, yeah. And she opened up about her vulnerabilities. Not everyone dares to do that. That's very good, Jahin.
It's surprising that she had no achievement. That's not true. It's not that she had no achievement. She chose not to write about it in the essay. You don't know if she
She
had
got into
achievement.
Yale University. She definitely had some outstanding achievements. Future. Yeah.
Beautiful thing was that she was specific. She didn't try to give an overall idea of her whole life. Yes. Unconventional topic. Perfect. No insecurities. It's from personal experience from a person. Excellent. Whoever that is, you're using your device name, so I can't applaud you for that. But very good. Something inherently personal and authentic. Yes, Ahmed.
Shushna Dia brings up a point that is it more like personal beauty thing and not about how she is. So if you read the essay again, it's called Beauty, and it's in that book that we sent to you guys. She starts off saying that I find it difficult to believe that beauty is not everything because I'm so self-conscious. I have acne all over my face. I feel I have a low self-esteem. I feel disgusted at myself. But then over this course of this excruciating pain and painful diet, that she improved her lifestyle for good. And at the end she mentions that at the end of it she realized that by trying to improve her physical appearance she improved her inner mental strength, and that's the takeaway for her from this experience, not that she doesn't have acne anymore. Ridwan, it's not just the struggles of women around the world. It could be anyone. It could be a guy. It could be anyone. Just reminding you. Yeah.
All right. So okay, that's very good. Everyone had good responses. Let's talk about what we think about the essay. So I think most of you hit the points. So this essay was personal. So we talked about certain qualities of a good essay. So in the do's and don'ts slide, can you bring that up, Shruti?
Yes. Do's and don'ts. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see how this essay touches on every single one of these points. So of course, she writes from a very personal perspective. So these are personal experience. So that hits it right on the nail, right? The second point is write about something that had a profound impact on you. Well, this mattered to her. So initially, you see the change in her chain of thoughts, the transformation that she went to. So she begins the essay by saying that, okay, I used to believe that inner beauty matters the most. But then throughout the course of the essay, she did connect that, okay, the change in her outer beauty somehow changed how she feels on the inside, changed her whole perspective, changed her self-confidence and everything. And the last point, write about something that is not evident from the rest of your application. Well, obviously, this is something that we'll talk about later as well. But nowhere else in the application can she mention this. Can she talk about this? This is the only part in the application where she can possibly bring this up.
She
And
even
this is
says
what
that I don't have any medals to show from this experience, but this is one of the most profound things that happened to me.
And this whole essay is very personal, very intimate, and that's what the admissions committee want to hear. They want to know you. In the Common App essay, that's what they want to. That's what they care about. Not your achievements, not your awards, not your grades. Nothing matters here. Yeah, and in the whole essay, she was never immodest or insensitive. She has the tone of the essay is very very polite, and she doesn't mean to undermine any other's perspective on this matter. Um, and okay, the sentence structure. If you look at the sentences, they're very simple, but they're very compelling. They keep the reader motivated. It's not very convoluted. The words are very simple. Like you probably know 90% of the words, and that's what makes a good essay. It has to be no flowery language, not words that you look up in a thesaurus. It's just simple, beautiful, simple sentences.
And also look at how she varies the sentence structure. So this sentence, for example, is medium. This sentence is a little bit longer. This sentence is shorter. And this sentence is again longer. So that kind of variation in sentence structure really gives a nice feel to the flow of the writing. So that's something you should try for.
So I was actually reading this post this morning. It compared writing to music, and I think that's a very good comparison. So if the sentence structure is, let's say, 5 words, and you keep on writing sentences that are 5 words each, at some point you'll feel this drab and monotonous sentence that loses the reader's interest. Instead, if you have shorter sentences coupled with like bigger ones, and once you grab the reader's interest, if you have this huge sentence, the reader will actually bother reading that huge sentence. So writing is music, and that's what the writer was trying to get across.
It's also a lot of how you start the sentence. For example, this sentence starts with I started blah blah blah. This sentence does not start with I anymore. She could have written that I stuck to this diet for a long full week, but she doesn't do that because she started this with I. She wouldn't start this one with I. So you see, this sentence starts with I, this one with a for, this one with a my, this one with a by. It's all very different structures. If you wrote like I started this, I did this, then I did this, then I did this, then it's very monotonous. No one would want to read that essay. Okay?
Okay, so someone asked, can you please explain where show but don't tell was implied? I think that's throughout the whole essay. That's the purpose of this essay, to show the admissions committee what you went through and not tell. She could have easily say that, oh, I went through this whole transformation in my perspective about inner beauty, but that's not what she did. She showed you that that's what she went through.
And even like until the very last sentence of the essay, you don't really know the final point of the essay. This last line is like the bang that Alman's going to talk about in a minute. This last line sums everything together beautifully. Until then, you're like, where is this really going? Okay, what's the takeaway? But then in the last line, she explains and ties everything together beautifully.
Okay. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Acha, so common app essay লেখার সময় অনেকে, at least যারা, in my experience, I've seen people, they shy away from writing narratives, and I personally love narratives and I encourage people to do so. Narratives অনেকের মনে হয় যে ওইটা immature writing, it's not good for a admissions essay, but that's completely the opposite. A narrative can, so it has certain advantages of writing a narrative. So a good narrative, it engages the reader straight away. So যখন গল্প বলতেছি আমরা, it's easier to attract people's attention, and of course it reveals a lot about the author. Narrative লেখার, a good narrative reveals a lot about the author, and it forces the reader to think. It forces the reader to understand your perspective and think the way you do. So do practice writing narratives, and I think it's a good writing style for a common app essay. Okay, illustrate your personal attributes using personal experience. Don't just tell them about it. We have already talked extensively about it. So যখন আমাদের personal attribute নিয়ে কথা বলতে চাই, and this is the only place, so that's the next point, but this is the only place where you bring up the personal attributes, but don't just tell them that I'm honest. Show them that you're honest, but don't tell them that, oh, I persevered. Show them how you have persevered. Bring up a problem, bring up a challenge, and then show them how you dealt with that challenge. Put a piece of yourself on paper. Our application package, our কোথাও you cannot talk about your personality. বাকি সবকিছু তোমার grade নিয়ে, তোমার achievements নিয়ে, awards নিয়ে, ECAs নিয়ে. This is the only place in the whole application where you can tell them how you are as a person. So do make it count. And the admissions committee are looking for good people. They're looking for good and interesting personalities. So this is the only place where you can make it shine. USA admissions holistic, and that's what it means. They don't want to. They could easily, like the top universities could easily hire people who are acing in the IMO or IPHO and everything, but that's rarely happens. They look for interesting personality. They look for people who make an interesting addition to the diverse class.
Importantly, people who can think about a takeaway from a life experience. Think about a window and see it as not just a window, but something else. What does it represent? Think philosophically, think critically. So this is a why major, why college essay. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna read it pretty fast. I'm gonna skip some parts because of time. So this is by Matthew Griffin. He got into Brown University. This is also from the same book. It's called, this essay is called Exploring Life's Intricacies. So this is a why major essay. So it probably asks like, why do you want to attend Brown University? So that's the prompt that he's answering. So he writes, because I find life's intricacies so amazing, biology and its related subjects are most enjoyable topics for me. Within biology, our brain interests me the most. And then he talks about why he wants to study biology. He says that he'd like to develop a great understanding of neuroscience and that he wants to become a doctor. And then he says that Brown University will give me the greatest ability to help people with a deep community. There is a community involvement. There is an open curriculum in Brown that will help him learn all the different things. He mentions that he wants to study different languages, and the ability to study multiple languages and social sciences will help him interact and exchange ideas with fewer limits. He says that the curriculum, since it's open, will allow him to become an outstanding scientist. He quotes a professor of his, and then he also mentions that he would at Brown, he would have all the resources he needs to advance in all these different areas that he wants to improve in to become a good doctor and a good citizen and a good person. And he said that at Brown, he would love to have great conversation with people and will be able to do research, and that attending Brown will bring him all the different things that will help him in becoming the best doctor and scientist that he could possibly be. So, Omlan, you want to discuss? Muted, you're muted.
All right, sorry. Yes, so the first thing to note is that, well, this person mentions the university. If it's a why major or why college essay, you better mention the university that you're talking about. And I think it's clear that he's talking about Brown. And the second and perhaps the most important thing in a why major or why college essay is that he only talks about things that are specific to the university. Is this an ideal why major or why college essay? Absolutely not. There are certain general statements that you could very well replace with another university and this would still be valid. And that's what makes a bad why major or why college essay. We'll talk about in the next slide, but well, let's just highlight the positive points of this essay. So he mentions things that are specific to Brown, and obviously he does not say that he wants to attend Brown because of its ranking or its fame or prestige, and you absolutely don't want to do that. Nowhere in your why college or why essay, why major essay, you want to say that, okay, I want to attend this university because it ranks so high in the US ranking or whatever, something of that sort. You don't want to say that. Do you want to add anything on this slide, or
so he has a very good idea about how the curriculum works at Brown, which is why he repeatedly says that if I go to Brown, I can study science, I can study biology, but I can also study different languages, and that's something specific to him. So I think that's the good. What's bad about this essay is that I think it's a little repetitive. It says the same thing multiple times. There's a huge quote taking up like 50 words, which I don't think was necessary at all. Among all, I don't think this is like some other things that he could have mentioned about Brown is, for example, it's campus vibe, and like what city is Brown in? Why does he want to be there? Why not, like, all this research and all these things are also available in some other universities? Why Brown? I don't think that question is answered in this essay very well, but make sure that you try and be as compelling that it's only Brown or only Columbia or only Cornell that I really like, especially for people who are giving ED, applying ED. Make sure that it's very, very specified and tailored to your college.
Okay, so here are our tips for acing the why major or why college essay. So as you can imagine, there is no alternative to doing extensive research at the university. If it's a Y major or Y college essay, that's you can't get around to researching the university. And don't just use the university website. So that's one of the resources. That's a very important resource. But talk to current students. Talk to people who are studying at those universities. I think that's the best source of information. They would be able to tell you how their experience was as a student there, and that's something you can't do on the university website. Um, and of course, the discussion forums like College Confidential, Quora, Reddit also come in handy. Those are very good resources, and you should make good use of them. And finally, yes, of course, reach out to us. Like we mentioned before, there's a group called Bangladeshis Beyond Border, and there's a lot of Bangladeshi students who are studying abroad. Reach out to them. Most of the times we're very friendly, so don't be afraid to reach out to us. And the second point that I want to mention is the admissions committee. They already know that what makes their university great. You don't need to talk about their facilities. You don't need to talk about all the resources they have, all their endowment. They already know those facts. They don't need you to tell them why they're good. What they actually mean when they ask you why this university or why this program is how you make a good fit for that university. The question, there's a hidden side to the question. It's more like what makes you a good candidate for a spot in our university. That's what they're actually trying to understand, and how you make good use of the resources that will provide in our university. Okay, and third, and this is the most important part of a Y major or Y college essay, is that যখন কোনো sentence লিখতেছো এই essayটাতে, make sure that if you replace the name of that university, let's say I'm writing about, what was the last university?
Brown.
Brown. Let's say I'm writing about Brown, and একটা এখানে কোনো লাইন আছে যে ব্রাউনে এই জিনিস আছে। আচ্ছা, এখন ব্রাউনের জায়গায় যদি আমি অন্য কোনো ইউনিভার্সিটি ঢুকাই দিই, let's say Cornell. Let's put Cornell there. And these are two universities with different vibes, with different atmosphere, with different resources, with different facilities. If I replace Brown with Cornell, that sentence should no longer hold. That sentence should no longer be valid, and it should not fit in that whole Y college or Y major essay. And that's when you know that your Y major or Y college essay is good. If those sentences break down, if the whole essay breaks down just because of replacing the university name with something different, that's where you know that your Y college or Y major essay is good, because that means that these essays are tailored towards that specific university. So make sure that that happens. Okay, so the next type of essay that we're going to discuss is the activity essay, and I think Shruti, you should read it out.
Yeah. Okay, so this essay is actually written by me. So this was when I was applying to Columbia in 2015. Yes, yeah, 2015. So the question was, what single activity listed in the activity section of your Common App are you most proud of, and why? So this is my response. The initial apprehension waned away as people from different cultural backgrounds admired my innovative improvisations. Despite our linguistic differences, I could read their minds. Even eye contact was unnecessary, while our torsos moved in unison with the instrumental beats to illustrate the image of tidal waves. I would not have experienced this essence of multiculturalism and solidarity if it was not for the workshop Experiencing Choreography. The long training hours of vigorous physical activity and brainstorming defined my passion for dance in a new dimension. It helped me identify myself as part of a greater international community and acclaim the graceful gestures, not only as aesthetic techniques, but also as a universal language. This blissful awareness that the workshop instilled in me leaves me craving for more. I look forward to participating in the New York Live Arts programs and rediscovered myself in the camaraderie of its blue foliage. All right, so again, this essay is very personal, and this essay talks about something that I experienced firsthand. There was this workshop that I attended when I was in the 10th grade or something. It was called Experiencing Choreography. It was being organized by Shadhana, being run by Dr. Rumi Mala Sarkar, who is a really renowned dancer. And here there were people from different cultural backgrounds. There were people from Europe, there were people from India, there were people from Bangladesh, and a few other nationalities as well. And there was a language barrier between the people from different countries, but we were still being able to communicate through dance. And for me, that was just so eye-opening and so amazing that dance is not just like this aesthetic form of entertainment anymore. It's also like this universal language. And that was the first time, that was my first exposure and realization that, okay, I'm a global citizen. I'm part of a broader world that is bigger than me or my neighborhood or my school or my country. I'm part of this world. So I think that realization is what I try to focus on in this essay. And in this essay, because it asks like, what activity are you most proud of? I could have talked about, there was this dance competition where I got the first place, or, I directed this dance drama, or I participated in this really good production, or I appeared on TV. I could have mentioned all those things because I have done those things, but they were already mentioned elsewhere in the application. So I felt that this realization, something that I can never put down on a common activity list, that how I felt in that moment being in that workshop, I think that's what I should highlight, because that was a very important takeaway for me in that moment. You want to add anything?
No, it's good. There was a good question though. I think Abdullah asked. I'm just trying to bring it up. Where do you draw the line between being confident and arrogant in your writing?
Okay, so here you can say that I said this line like, people from different cultural backgrounds admired my innovative improvisations. So this is sort of being confident and not arrogant. Like if I had claimed that my improvisations were innovative, that would have been wrong. But I kind of said that the other people were admiring it, and that made me feel good. And I think that's just honest, just being honest. But yeah, do not. So in this essay, for example, I never mentioned my career in dance or anything. So that's the way to not be arrogant. But if you really want to discuss something, for example, if an Olympiad or something really mattered to you, where the takeaway was not just that, oh, I was the best over there. If it was something else, something more profound than just being first or being the best, I think that's what you should mention. Focusing on more humane characteristics, more abstract qualities of an experience is more important than just saying, oh, I'm proud of this Olympiad because I was the champion. If that makes sense.
Yeah, basically, I'll just add one thing. Basically, think of the admissions, the whole package as this unit square. It's a square, and protita component to my application is just this dot on the square. So to me, Judy, you have already mentioned যে আমি Olympiad A হয়েছি, first হয়েছি in the activities and awards section. And then তুমি এসে তো একই জিনিস লিখছো, so you're hitting the same dot in that square. You're not populating the whole square. You're just concentrating on this one point. No one cares. You've already mentioned that. The essay should be about something more. It's something more personal to you. What makes you you? What makes you different from the thousands of other candidates out there? Acha. So acing the activity essay. So the first point, let's get to it. So এর আগে এটা নিয়ে discussion হয়েছে. Don't make things up in your the whole application. It's not necessarily only true for the activity essay, it's for the entire application. Don't make things up. The admissions committee ওরা অনেক দিন ধরে এই জিনিস করতেছে, অনেক কিছু জানে ওরা, and even us, we have looked at so many essays by now that we just know when people are not being truthful. So আমরা যদি পারি তাহলে অ্যাডমিশনস কমিটিতে আমাদের থেকে আরো অনেক বেশি, আমরা কয়টা এসে দেখছি সারা জীবনে, they have been doing this is their profession. So don't make things up and don't be dishonest. Acha, so the admissions committee is looking to recruit a diverse class of humans with interesting qualities. That's the best way of putting it, I think. So রোবটের মতন শোনালে হবে না যে আমি এই করছি এই অ্যাচিভমেন্ট, এটা আসলে that's not interesting. That's a lot of awards and achievements, but that's not interesting. So activities essay গুলাতে specifically it should be about your passion. If you like to dance, if you like to sing, that it should be about those things. It should be about the human side of you, and not just awards and achievements. And the tricky part is making those passions of yours turn into something more compelling. কেন তোমাকে রিক্রুট করবে ইউনিভার্সিটি, কেন তোমাকে ওই স্পটটা দিবে? Acha, the third point, again, probably the most important one, like in the previous one. The third point is to check whether it's a good activity essay, is to check whether if you যদি একটা সেন্টেন্স থাকে, ধরো আমি একটা সেন্টেন্স লিখছি, ওখানে if you replace my name, if I replace my name with, let's say, Shohi's name, the whole essay should break down. Similarly, যেমন আমরা আগেরটাতে ব্রাউনকে অন্য কিছু দিয়ে রিপ্লেস করলাম, and that essay broke down. Similarly, এখানে if I replace my name with a name of a friend of mine, তাহলে the whole essay should break down, and that's when you know that essay is good. That's what you should ensure. Acha. Next slide. Okay, so কেউ একজন জিজ্ঞাসা করছিল যে I forgot what the exact question was. I'm sorry, but basically here's our algorithm for producing a good personal statement. I love algorithms. এটা করলে আমার মাথা stable থাকে.
I think
Okay.
you did, yeah.
Good. Okay, great. Acha, so here's our algorithm for producing a good personal statement. So this is specifically true for the common app essay. So let's discuss what it is. So begin with a narrative. Like I said, I love narratives, and it engages the reader straight away. So begin with a narrative, with an anecdote or something of that sort. Second point would be describe a problem or a challenge. So the essay that we have seen before, it talked about a problem, a very personal problem that she was facing. The issue with the acne and everything, that the lack of self-confidence due to the acne, that's a problem that she was facing. Illustrate a personal attribute by demonstrating how you overcame that challenge. So she walked you through how she overcame that challenge. That constant fight between a disciplined life, a disciplined diet versus I don't know how to say this. The constant struggles that she was facing. That's how she walked you through the whole process of overcoming that challenge. And of course, she talked about what she learned from that experience, and that's extremely important. So a lot of us everyone has their own struggles, right? And it's normal to have those. It's how you portray them in your essay. That's what matters. Just problem to describe করলে হবে না. If you have a problem, how do you overcome that? That's what the admissions committee care about. And finally, end with a bang. This is the best part of the essay. The conclusion should be the best part of your essay. It should be such that আমি যদি 10 বছর তোমার একটা essay পড়লাম, 10 বছর পরে তোমার সাথে দেখা হয়, even without you telling me how that you wrote the essay, I should be able to connect you to that essay. It should be very personal. It should be you. It should be you in a few lines. That should be the conclusion.
আরেকটা কথা একটু বলি আমি, সেটা হচ্ছে কি অ্যাডমিশন প্রসেসে আমি কিছু সময় কাজ করেছিলাম অ্যাডমিশনস অফিসার কলম্বিয়ার, বেশি দিন না, বাট from what people know is that a bunch of application comes in. A university like Columbia probably receives tens of thousands, like 60-70 আমি জানি না 1 লাখ 2 লাখ হতে পারে অ্যাপ্লিকেশনের সংখ্যা, রাইট? এবং সেই এতগুলো ডিল করার জন্য তারা কিন্তু একটা লিমিটেড নাম্বার অফ অ্যাডমিশন অফিসার আছে. They don't have an unlimited number of people to read them. তারা যখন পড়ে, they only spend like 5 to 10 minutes on the main common app essay. ভালো লাগলে হয়তো সাপ্লিমেন্টারি গুলো পড়ে. The thing is, তারা জাস্ট চোখ বুলায় যায়, তারপরে they move on to the next one. লাস্টের লাইনটা যদি স্ট্রং না হয়, তাহলে the admission officer will not remember. শুরুতে ইন্টারেস্ট নিয়ে পড়া শুরু করলো, তারপরে লাস্টে গিয়ে essay doesn't make a point. It doesn't tie everything in together. লাস্টে পড়ার পরে একটা লিঙ্গারিং ফিলিং, ভালো লাগার ফিলিংটা থাকে না, তখন admission officer will not like remember that essay. যখন তাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে, আচ্ছা তোমাকে যে কয়টা essay দিছি তার মধ্যে কোনগুলো বেশি ভালো লাগছে, ওগুলা আমার টেবিলে রেখে যাও, তখন তোমারটা তার মনে থাকবে না if the ending is not strong. Is that it?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. That sums it up. So okay, here are some more tips for writing a good essay. এগুলা খুব generic. এগুলা already probably শুনছো হাজার বার. Um, the tricky part is just sticking to this advice that we give you. আমি অর্ধেকটা follow করি নাই, সত্যি কথা বলতে. I always procrastinated in high school, so start early was never the one for me. But advice দেওয়ার সময় তো মানুষ
Maybe technical problem.
Wait, hang on. Do you guys hear Omlan or is he frozen?
We don't hear anybody.
Do you hear me?
only hear you.
Yeah, we can
but
hear
you're
you, Apu.
frozen.
Okay, hang on. Let me get him. You need to repeat this slide because your internet just broke up.
Okay, got it.
হ্যাঁ, এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে, এখন দেখা যাচ্ছে।
এখন কি শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ, যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা, good. So I'll just okay, I'll repeat it again. So আমি বলতেছিলাম যে আমি কখনোই আর্লি স্টার্ট করি নাই কিছুই। So আমি হাই স্কুলে খুব procrastinate করতাম, এখনো করি। But I was just saying that advice দেওয়ার সময় তো মানুষ অনেক কিছুই বলে, so I'll just say this to you guys. So early start করা উচিত, যত আগে শুরু করবে তত ভালো। আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা আমি ফলো করতাম and I think it has helped me is not just when you start writing ওই সময়টাতেই শুধু এসে নিয়ে ভাববা না, মানে you should be thinking about this throughout the whole day. রাত্রে সকালে ওঠা থেকে রাত্রে ঘুমানো আগ পর্যন্ত, মানে and that doesn't mean যে ও সবকিছু খাওয়া দাওয়া বাদ দিয়ে এসে নিয়ে চিন্তা করবো, তা না। মানে just be chill, be calm and let the world around you inspire you. যেমন আমার এসে, আমি এখানে একটু বলি, আমার এসে ছিল হচ্ছে গিয়ে একটা দরজা নিয়ে। So what do I mean by that? দরজা নিয়ে মানে কি? That sounds stupid. It was probably stupid, but it was very interesting, to at least to me. I wrote about how doors represent opportunities in life, and মানে stuff like that. খুব simple জিনিস, একটু weird and unusual take. If you have those unusual takes on simple things, that constitutes an interesting essay. And I think that happens only if you think about the essay throughout the life. এমন যদি হয় না, পড়া থেকে টেবিল থেকে উঠলে পরে I shut down my brain, কোনো ইনপুট আসবে না, কোনো আইডিয়া আসবে না, আমি এসে নিয়ে চিন্তা করবো না, তারপর আবার যখন পড়তে বসবো বা এসে লিখতে বসবো তখন আবার আইডিয়া ফ্লো শুরু। এরকম হলে ভালোই তো, এরকম হয় না, মানুষের ব্রেন একটু interesting.
Just to clarify Omlan's point, like I don't really know how this thought came about, but he was probably, I don't know, lying down on his bed one day and then he stared at a door and he's like, "Dorjata sundor," and then he's like, "Okay, what does the door means?" And maybe that's what kicked off the essay. I'm not saying that's what happened with him, but বললাম আর কি যে, ফর এক্সাম্পল তুমি শুয়ে আছো, ফ্যানের দিকে তাকাই, you're like, ফ্যানটা কেন সবসময় এইদিকেই ঘুরে, উল্টো দিকে কেন ঘুরে না? Like what would happen if we redesign it? But something like that. Like always keep your brain active, keep thinking about things, even if it's something simple like a lamp or a light or a book you recently read or a movie you recently watched. And how did that make you feel? Try to feel emotions. It's very easy to write when you feel those emotions in its honesty. সত্যি সত্যি যখন ফিল করবা তখন লেখা অনেক সহজ।
আর এই জন্যই ইটস ইম্পর্টেন্ট টু স্টার্ট আর্লি, কারণ মানে টাইম ক্রাঞ্চ থাকলে হয় কি, মাথায় প্রেশার থাকলে it's hard to produce good writing, especially যে কোনো ধরনের ক্রিয়েটিভ কাজ মাথায় প্রেশার, মানে when you're time constrained you can't do that. Yeah, so okay, so the next thing is draft. এটা খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট. Make multiple drafts for everything you write. যত ড্রাফট হবে তত ভালো লেখার কোয়ালিটি বেটার হবে। and draft মানে কি, আমি একটা হিস থেকে হার বানাইলাম, that doesn't constitute a draft. That's a minor change. That's not a draft. A draft would be something like if I reshuffle the paragraphs in my essay, or if I change the whole structure and I write a different version of it, or even just a completely different essay. মানে একটা essay কে ভেঙে চুরে চুরমার করে দিয়ে একটা নতুন essay লিখলাম. That's also a draft. That is a draft. That's a good draft. So make multiple drafts for your essay, for not just essay, everything in your application package. মানে যে ধরনের যে কোনো ধরনের writing, make multiple drafts. The more drafts, the better. And দেখবা যে first draft এর সাথে তোমার last draft এর কোনো মিল নাই. মানে it's completely different, and that's good. That's what you want. And then you have more options to pick from.
আমি একটু বলি এখানে, আমি যখন লেখা শুরু করেছিলাম 10-12টা এসে মনে হয় লিখেছিলাম. I think the first essays were so stupid. One was about my grandpa, one was about mirrors. কিছুতেই ওই ফিলটা আসতেছিল না. তারপরে যখন ফাইনালি I hit the topic that I committed to writing about, ওই বিভিন্ন 10-12টা ড্রাফটের পরে একটা লিখলাম যেটা পড়ে মনে হলো আচ্ছা এইটার পোটেনশিয়াল আছে, এটাকে ঘষে মেজে সামনে নেওয়া যায়. তারপরে ওই এসেটা নিয়ে বিভিন্ন ড্রাফট শুরু করতাম. ওই এসেটারও অনেক অল্টারনেট এন্ডিং ছিল, মুভিতে থাকে না অল্টারনেট এন্ডিংস এন্ড অল্টারনেট বিগিনিংস এন্ড হচ্ছে ওরকম ব্যাপারটা আর কি, কিপ চেঞ্জিং থিংস, যে কেমন লাগে এইভাবে লিখলে.
ওকে, একজন জিজ্ঞেস করতেছিল যে sorry, this is a point from long ago, but can you give another example of this so-called ending with a bang? I'll give you an example. So amar essay te, like I said, it was about a door, right? So I'll read the very last. I'm not saying this is I mean, there are better ways of ending with a bang, but I'm just saying what this is my attempt at ending with a bang. So ami likhi, okay, and I'm just reading it out loud. So I stop being a mere onlooker. I decide that the time has arrived to stamp my knock on the door. On that day, I find some rest. The doors still invade my days, but I have come to terms with them. It will not be long before I shall knock and leave. So, like I said, the doors represent opportunities. And I'm just saying, Cornell or this university represents that opportunity for me to knock on the door and find out what's out there, find out what's behind the door, or find out all the opportunities that exist before me. So that's what I mean by ending.
For those of you don't know, or বাকি এসেটাতে it was like, ও আমি দরজাটাকে দেখি কিছু করি না. হ্যাঁ, প্রত্যেক দরজায় একটা নতুন opportunity, but আমি কিছু করি না. Something stops me. But at the end of the essay, he kind of transitions into আমি আর থেমে থাকবো না, আমি দরজা দেখলেই knock করবো. That's a way of saying যে this is me knocking on your door, University X, whatever he was applying to, which is Cornell. And it worked out. I guess the university loved it. They opened the door.
Acha, all these questions that's not quite related with essays, we'll answer them later. Quarantine batches journey extra advice would be hard for us to give, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after there's a question and answer session. But let's keep moving. So read and read. হ্যাঁ, মানে ভালো লিখতে হলে ভালো জিনিস পড়তে হয়. There are giants who have worked, who have written stuff. So make sure you read stuff that they have written. Notable works of literature, philosophical texts. High school is a good time to develop your philosophical thought process, যেটা বাংলাদেশে in general করা হয় না. এইখানে করা হয়, ইউএসএ তে হাই স্কুলেরটা অনেক ধরনের ভালো philosophical text পড়ে, যেটা আমাদের দেশে করে না, which is a well, at least English medium করে না. আমি জানি না maybe national curriculum there are good pieces of Bengali literature and Bengali philosophical work that they teach, but English medium করে না. Not just scientific, not just literature and philosophical texts. It could be scientific journals if you're interested in that, and if you have the scientific acumen for reading scientific journal articles, go for it. Any sort of notable works of literature, and especially if you're applying to STEM fields, you should be at least familiarizing with yourself with the field that you're interested in. So scientific journals are a good way of doing that.
আর অনেক সময় তোমার এসেতে কোনো একটা মানে ওয়েল নোন লিটারেচার ওয়ার্কের রেফারেন্স টানা is a very witty way of telling the admission officer আমি কিন্তু এগুলো পড়ি. তুমি যদি রবীন্দ্রনাথ পড়ো, তুমি যদি শরৎচন্দ্র পড়ো, if there is something you like, হ্যাঁ, ওরা হয়তো ওই রেলেভেন্স দিতে মানে বুঝতে পারবে না চট করে, কারণ ওরা তো আর বাংলার লিটারেচার পড়ে, তো তোমাকে আসলে বলেই দিতে হবে যে অমুক রাইটার লেখা অমুক এতে এরকম একটা লাইন ছিল যেটা আমার খুব ভালো লাগে, কেন এই কারণে এরকম একটা কিছু লিখতে পারো। বাট যদি কোনো ইংলিশ নোটেবল ওয়ার্ক হয়, ধরো যদি কাফকা হয় বা শেক্সপিয়ার হয় বা এরকম কিছু হয়, ইউ ক্যান অনায়াসে তুমি না বলে যে শেক্সপিয়ারের অমুক জায়গা থেকে তুমি না বলে যে একটা হালকা একটা রেফারেন্স করতে পারো, এন্ড দে উইল আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড ইট এন্ড দে উইল নো দ্যাট তুমি এগুলো পড়ো। সো দ্যাটস অলসো opportunity for them to understand তোমার পড়ার হ্যাবিটটা কিরকম।
আরেকটা লাস্ট হচ্ছে কি স্যাম্পল এসে পড়া। Well, this is more of more because you want to know what the successful essays were, right? So read sample essays. A presentation last year দুইটা link দেওয়া আছে of two books that we found useful when we were applying. One is for Harvard, and I think the other one is for in general Ivy League. To read those essays, find এই যে যেমন আমরা যে এগুলো ডিসকাস করলাম, except for for Shoiti's one, the other two were from the book called 50 Successful Ivy League Essays, and it's linked to the presentation, which we'll share with you guys. So read sample essays just to understand how people write, and of course learn to think critically. Challenge statements. মানুষ যখন একটা কথা বলবে, মানে বাঙালিরা স্পেশালি এটা করে যে যা বলবে মেনে নেব। That's not how it should be. You should be able to challenge them, think critically. যা বলবে মেনে নেওয়া কোনো মানে হয় না। That's being dumb. Don't do that. Challenge them. চিন্তা করো, অযথা তর্ক করবে না তাই বলে, but learn to think critically and think about what other people say. Learn to think critically about those statements. লাস্টেরটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ক্রিটিসাইজ ইওর ওন রাইটিং, যেটা অনেকের ক্ষেত্রে কঠিন, আমার ক্ষেত্রেও কঠিন। I don't do a good job of criticizing my own writing, and that ties in with the drafting process. Criticize না করতে পারলে নতুন ড্রাফট বানানো কঠিন। So if you are like me and if you cannot criticize your own work, ask someone else to proofread it. এখন someone else বলতে কে? Don't ask your family or friends because they are really bad reviewers of your work. যারা তোমার সাথে একটু ক্লোজ, তারা তোমার কোনো ভুল দেখবে না। Especially Bengali family তে তাই হয়। We are too close knit, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but এই সব ক্ষেত্রে when you're trying to get constructive criticism on your work, সেটা মানে সেটা হয়ে ওঠে না when people are close to you. So যারা একটু ডিস্টেন্ট, যদি তোমার কোনো পরিচিত মানুষ থাকে যারা একটু ডিস্টেন্ট, again Bangladeshi Beyond Border is a good platform for that. So if you have an essay and you want to get it reviewed by someone who has gone through this process, just knock one of us and tell us that okay, bhaiya ba apu ami essayta likhchi, can you just give us feedback on it? We will be happy to do that. ঠিক আছে, next slide. I think it shows these tips for improving English.
হ্যাঁ, এটা আসলে I'm not the best person to say this. আমি আসলে I started out in বাংলা মিডিয়াম, তারপর ক্লাস 2 তে থাকতে I switched to English medium. তখন as a kid আমার অনেক স্ট্রাগল করতে হয়েছিল বাংলা থেকে ইংলিশ বলা, শোনা এবং বোঝাতে। তো I think reading books, আমি জানি না এখন বড় হয়ে কি ট্রিক্স কাজে লাগে, বাট আমার জন্য ছিল তখন আমার বয়স উপযোগী যে মুভিজ, কার্টুন এগুলো দেখা এবং সাবটাইটেল ছাড়া দেখা, যাতে লিসনিংটা ইমপ্রুভ হয়, যাতে মানে ওরা কি বলছে শুনেই বুঝতে পারি এবং মানেটাও বুঝতে পারি। তোমার যা ভালো লাগে পড়তে পারো, লাইক ইউ ক্যান রিড বুক, ইউ ক্যান রিড ক্লাসিক, সায়েন্স ফিকশন, থ্রিলার, যা ভালো লাগে, নিউজ পেপার, ম্যাগাজিন, জার্নাল, মুভি দেখতে পারো, টিভি শো দেখতে পারো, যা ভালো লাগে। ইউ ক্যান রিড ব্লগস লাইক কোরা এন্ড রেডিট, এগুলোতেও কিন্তু এগুলো পড়লেও অনেক ইংরেজিটা বোঝা যায়। আর মোস্টলি মানে বইতে তো ধরো একটু ফ্যান্সি ইংলিশ, আর নর্মালি কোলোকিয়ালি কিভাবে মানুষ সচরাচর কথা বলে, কনভারসেশনাল ইংলিশ, এটার জন্য ব্লগগুলো খুব ভালো। যদি প্র্যাকটিস করতে পারো বাসায় এবং ফ্রেন্ডদের সঙ্গে, খুব ভালো। অবশ্যই পারমিশন নিয়ে, যাতে পিপল ডোন্ট থিংক দ্যাট ইউ আর উইয়ার্ড। আর যদি কখনো একটা সেন্টেন্স পড়লা, বুঝতে পারলা না যে এই সেন্টেন্সটা কেন উড হবে, কেন উইল হবে না, হ্যাঁ, তো তখন আই থিঙ্ক ইটস ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে ইউ রিড দ্য সেন্টেন্স, ইউ আস্ক ইউরসেলফ দ্যাট কোয়েশ্চেন, এবং তারপরে পরবর্তীতে কোনো একজন টিচার বা যে ভালো জানে তাকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারো, অথবা গুগল করে দেখতে পারো কিছু পাও কিনা যে কেন উড হবে, কেন উইল হবে না। ওই গ্রামার চ্যাপ্টারটা আরেকবার দেখলা যে উড আর উইলের মধ্যে পার্থক্য কি, কখন কোনটা ইউজ হয়, এরকম জিনিসগুলো। আমার ক্ষেত্রে যখন আমি ছোট ছিলাম, প্রায় একটা সামার ছিল, স্কুল বন্ধ, এরকম 2 মাস আমি জাস্ট বাংলা স্টোরি ইংলিশে ট্রান্সলেট করেছি, ইংলিশ স্টোরি বাংলা ট্রান্সলেট করেছি। ওই 2 মাসের পরে মাই গ্রামার ওয়াজ ভেরি গুড। হ্যাঁ, ইংলিশ ভালো হয়েছে তা বলবো না, বাট মাই গ্রামার ওয়াজ ইন প্লেস ওই ট্রান্সলেশন এক্সারসাইজের পরে। সো আই থিঙ্ক দ্যাট রিয়েলি হেল্পস, বাট আমি জানি না বড় হয়ে আসলে এটা কতটা কাজে দিবে। সো যখনই কিছু পড়বা, কোনো ওয়ার্ড যদি না জানো, গুগল ইট, কোনো ওপেন আপ দ্য ডিকশনারি, সি ইটস মিনিং এবং রাইট ইট ডাউন। সব থেকে ইম্পর্টেন্ট ওয়েন নোয়িং অ্যাবাউট আ নিউ ওয়ার্ড ইজ নট টু নো এটার মানে কি, ইটস ইম্পর্টেন্ট টু নো এটা কিভাবে ইউজ করা হয় বিভিন্ন সেন্টেন্সে। হ্যাঁ, কিভাবে ইউজ করা হয়, এবং একটা ওয়ার্ডের ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে কিন্তু ধরো 5-6টা ওয়ে থাকে যেভাবে এই ওয়ার্ডটা ইউজ করা হয়। ইটস ভেরি, প্রত্যেকটা ওয়ার্ড খুব ভার্সেটাইল এবং মাল্টিপারপাস। হ্যাঁ, তো ওই ওয়ার্ডটা কি কি সেন্সে ইউজ করা যায় এটা এটা বোঝা খুবই জরুরি, rather than just memorizing them. So try to understand the words and their usage instead of memorizing it. আর এখানে we just compiled some free essay writing resources, pdf যখন পাঠিয়ে দেব, all this hyperlink should work. So the প্রথম দুটো হচ্ছে বই, collection of different college essays, তারপরে বিভিন্ন কলেজ ওয়েবসাইটে এসে রাইটিং এর ব্যাপারে সুন্দর সুন্দর টিপস থাকে, আমরা যা বলেছি তার বাইরেও নিশ্চয়ই কিছু আছে। ব্লগসে আইভি ওয়াইজ, ফাস্ট ওয়েব এবং অসংখ্য ব্লগ আছে, জাস্ট গুগল ইট, ইউ উইল সি অসংখ্য রিসোর্সেস কাম আপ অন কিভাবে এসে লিখতে হয়। Try to check your essay with a grammar check tool like Grammarly, and also make sure essay লেখা হয়ে গেলে পরে অনলাইন বলো ফ্রেন্ডস ফ্যামিলিদের কাছে পড়তে দেওয়া ঠিক না, বাট প্রুফ রিড করানোর জন্য কিন্তু তাদের থেকে ভালোই এনে, বিকজ দে ডোন্ট ওয়ান্ট আ সিঙ্গল মিস্টেক ইন ইউর এসে। হ্যাঁ, মানে এসে ফিডব্যাক হয়তো তারা ওভাবে দিতে পারবে না যাতে তুমি কষ্ট না পাও, বাট প্রুফ রিড করার জন্য একটা টাইনি স্পেলিং মিস্টেক বা একটা এস মিসিং বা একটা অ্যাপোস্ট্রফি নাই বা একটা ফুল স্টপ হবে, এগুলো দেখার জন্য কিন্তু আসলে ফ্রেন্ডস, ফ্যামিলি, ক্লোজ পিপল আর ভেরি ভেরি হ্যান্ডি। এবং ইউনিভার্সিটি স্পেসিফিক ওয়েবসাইটে অনেক সময় তাদের স্যাম্পল এসে দেওয়া থাকে যে আমাদের ইউনিভার্সিটিতে গত বছরে এই প্রম্পটাতে এরকম একজন রেসপন্ড করেছিল। হ্যাঁ, টাফটসে আমি যখন অ্যাপ্লাই করছি আমার মনে আছে যে এরকম কিছু একটা লেখা ছিল। আর অলওয়েজ গুগল, কোনো একটা প্রশ্ন থাকলে দ্যাটস দ্য ফার্স্ট থিং ইউ ডু, গুগল। আমাদের যত কয়টা স্লাইড, যত কয়টা সেশন হবে, সব কয়টা শেষে দিস ইজ দ্য ওয়ান থিং উই অলওয়েজ হ্যাভ, গুগল, because that's the one thing that knows the answer to everything. Okay, you want to say this?
Oh yes. মানে এখানে তেমন কিছু বলার নেই আসলে। So next week এর আগে, so next week we'll be talking about SAT for this session. So the one that happens on Saturday at 10 p.m. So we'll be talking about the SAT. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the SAT format. So আমারও করতে হবে এটা, কারণ আমিও জানি না নতুন SAT format কি। But make sure you do that and take maybe if you have time, take a diagnostic test from a book or website অনেকগুলো আছে, যেমন College Confidential, I think they have a diagnostic test. And this is especially true for people who are not at all familiar or who have not taken any diagnostic test before. সেটা করলে ভালো, then we can move the discussion along further. কালকের জন্য, কালকে Sunday 10টায় we have the STEM session. So we have some interesting things planned. If I don't know how it's going to be, but we're hoping it's going to be interesting. So jara আসতেছো, so make sure you download Octave and install it on your computer. You need a PC. You need well, not a PC, but you need a device. You need some sort of device. Phone বাদে যে কোনো device. Actually portable device বাদে যে কোনো device.
আর যদি কারো অ্যাক্সেস না থাকে তাহলে আমার মনে হয় ফোনে অন্তত আমরা যা বলছি ওটা শোনার চেষ্টা করো, তারপরে পরে সুযোগ পেলে অন্য কোনো ল্যাপটপে ভিডিওটা দেখে নিও, বা আমরা সব কোড, সব অ্যান্সার, সব সলিউশন সবই আমরা পোস্ট করব। সো যদি অ্যাক্সেস না থাকে ভয় পাওয়ার কিছু নাই, ডু ইট অন দ্য ফোন, কারণ সবার হয়তো থাকবে না, বাট ইটস বেস্ট ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ আ ল্যাপটপ।
So I would suggest getting Octave. Someone asked, what is Octave? Octave is like MATLAB. What is MATLAB? MATLAB is a programming language. It's a programming language coupled with an IDE. It lets you code.
Just to make it clear, this is for tomorrow's STEM session. It's not the same thing. In the STEM session, we try to talk about our different different exposure to different STEM skills.
Does Octave work on Mac? Yes, it does. There's a bunch of different versions. Make sure you download the right one. Windows has a Mac OS has a. There's a bunch
Does
of Linux
Octave
OS.
work on Mac? Do you know that Octave works on Mac?
I am
We
I
won't
would be
write it on
surprised
PC,
if I'll be
but
surprised if it doesn't.
it should. It should. Just make sure you download the right version. That's for Mac. There should be a different one. Yeah, Shonok said that it does. There's a separate link. Okay, good.
There's a macOS version. Yeah. All right, great. That's the end of this session. So we'll be opening to questions now.
We were
Right.
pretty much on time. Ekta baje. Just making sure. So next session, next Saturday, আমরা SAT নিয়ে কথা বলবো এবং তারপরে যে session Insight into Engineering, তখন আমাদের একজন guest speaker আসবে. We will try to end at sharp 1. So কোনো questions যদি থাকে, we'll take it after that session because we cannot keep our guests waiting. So we will take those sessions. So ajke it was a good practice that we managed to finish by 1 এবং we have been going over a little bit over. তোমরা যারা Education USA তে আছো, তোমরা যদি থাকতে চাও, you're more than welcome to stay. If you don't want to, you're more than welcome to leave. There is no restrictions.
Just putting it out there, এখন যে সেশনটা হবে সেটা হবে insight into engineering, so insight into mechanical engineering. So I'll be talking about my experiences as an undergrad and as a grad student in mechanical engineering. So don't feel pressurized to stay. Just if you want to, you're more than welcome to not থাকতে চাও.
Azizul, please ask question and answers. Make sure it's related to essay writing.
So we'll take let's do about 15 minutes of question answer.
Essay te ki title thakai lagbe na? It's not.
But it's good. It's good if you have an interesting, catchy title. It's good to have one.
Tobe, oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
So I was just gonna say, don't put boring titles. Essay jodi hoy perseverance niye, if you put perseverance at the title, that's don't do that.
Catchy. উপরে অনেক সুন্দর একটা philosophical question ask করেছিল মামুন ভাই. It's difficult to scroll. Could you share that again? আমি একটু বলে নেই, যারা ড্রাইভ লিংকে ভিডিও চাচ্ছ অথবা ফাইলস চাচ্ছ, প্লিজ গো টু ইউর ড্রাইভ লিংক দ্যাটস ইন ইউর ইমেল. ওই ড্রাইভ লিংকে প্রত্যেকটা গত 4টা সেশনের ভিডিওস আছে এবং 4টা সেশনের পিডিএফও আছে. আমরা এই সানডের পরে, নট টুডে but kalker pore we will be uploading all the PDFs and videos from this week as well. So wait until Sunday for me to do that. Jata 4টা একবারে হয়, নালে বারবার করা লাগে. And so please look at the drive. It's there. Everyone should have access to it. Kono সমস্যা নাই.
What about the people from Education USA? They won't have access to it.
People from Education USA, if you want to get access to it, could you please sign up on our original form? If you do not know where that is, তাহলে আমাদের সঙ্গে যোগাযোগ করো on Facebook and we will send you the sign up registration link. তারপরে I will send you the email that has everything.
আচ্ছা, প্রজ্ঞা জিজ্ঞেস করছে, I think she has been asking this for a while. I'm sorry we didn't answer that. দুইটা ঘটনা দেওয়া যাবে একটা এসেতে? That's a difficult question, right? Because it depends on কি ঘটনা দেওয়া যাবে, কোনো রেস্ট্রিকশন নাই কয়টা ঘটনা লিখবা, বাট instead of 650 word limit তো, so instead of spreading yourself thin and then not describing any individual one properly, I think it's better to stick to one. That would be my personal call, but it's your call. দুইটা ঘটনা কেউ না করে নাই, কোনো পয়েন্টও কাটবে না তোমার দুইটা ঘটনা শেয়ার করলে. Will the university give me a specific topic on which I have to write an essay, or can I write an essay on any topic from self-experience? So the Common App essay, can you bring up the slide for Common App?
Yeah.
So the Common App essay, it's more or less open-ended. The Common App essay, ekdom uporta. Third slide.
Okay. Okay.
So the Common App essay, as you can see, it's more or less open. It covers, basically you can write about anything you want. ছয় ধরনের জিনিস নিয়ে, but what they're trying to get across is how you are as a person. It can be literally about anything you want.
আমার মনে হয় এসেটা আগে লেখো about whatever you want, তারপরে compare all these prompts and see কোনটা ভালো. যদি একটা ভালো না লাগে, there is always the last prompt which is like any topic of your choice. ঠিক আছে? So
আচ্ছা, Common App, sorry finish.
হ্যাঁ বলো.
কমন অ্যাপ বাদে যে যে এসে গুলো আছে যেমন why major by why college, those are topic specific, so they will give you a specific topic to write on. আরো ইন্টারেস্টিং হয় যেগুলো হচ্ছে ক্রিয়েটিভ বা ওপেন এন্ডেড, which we didn't talk about in this presentation. ওগুলো আরো ইন্টারেস্টিং হয়, ওগুলা they'll pick some weird prompts. For example, I think U Chicago had one. I think it was U Chicago. But I might be wrong which university, but some university had one where the statement, the prompt was, "What's odd about odd numbers?" I think that's an excellent and interesting prompt. They force you to think and be creative. Whichever essay I write, how do I begin? Like, how do I put words on the paper? A beginning that makes je kono writing. It's not just you. Every single person out there struggles with starting the writing process. So I took this writing course recently, very recently, on scientific writing. The hardest part about scientific or any writing is forcing yourself to sit down and write. And when I first, if you have the first few words on paper, then you're good. You're in good shape. So what's a good way of getting over that? Problem ta hoy ki we think too much when we start to write. লেখা শুরু করার আগে আমরা অনেক চিন্তা করি, লেখা শুরু হয়ে গেলে আর এতটা চিন্তা করি না। So force yourself to put down thoughts on paper. যাই মনে আসে, যাই মাথায় আসে, খুবই বাজে যদি মানে বাজে টপিকও হয়, বাজে লেখা হয়, just put it down, just write something. It doesn't have to be good sentences or good words, just put your thoughts down on paper.
Sheikh Tanvir, what's the name of your page? We don't really have a page. I'm sorry for that. It's just the two of us. Just reach out to any one of us on Facebook.
How should I write major essays if I'm undecided? Any recommendation? I don't really know how that works. Do you have?
আমার মনে হয় যে if you're undecided, you should just say that আমি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ পছন্দ করি। এই ছেলেটা যেরকম বলেছে আমি ডক্টর হতে চাই, বাট ও অলসো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ পড়তে চায়। ও কিন্তু বলে না যে ও বায়োলজি পড়বে, ও বলছে ওর ইন্টারেস্ট কি কি, এবং ও বলেছে যে ব্রাউন ইউনিভার্সিটিতে একটা ওপেন কারিকুলাম আছে যেটাতে ওই সবগুলোই পড়ার সুযোগ পাবে, কোনো যেহেতু সেই ওইভাবে রেস্ট্রিকশন নাই। সো ওইভাবে মানে ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ আ মানে কাইন্ড অফ লাইক অ্যান আইডিয়া যে আমি ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং পড়তে চাই, তো তখন তুমি বলতে পারো যে ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং ফ্যাসিনেটস মি, তোমাদের ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং প্রোগ্রামে এই জিনিসগুলো আছে, এই ডিপার্টমেন্ট আছে, এন্ড देयर इज অপশন টু সুইচ, আর ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি প্রোগ্রাম আছে, এগুলা ইজ হেল্পফুল ফর মি, এগুলো মেনশন করতে পারো। তোমার যদি মনে হয় তুমি ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং পড়বা না পলিটিক্যাল সায়েন্স পড়বা, তার মধ্যে কনফিউশন আছে, তাহলে ইউ ক্যান জাস্ট সে দ্যাট, বি অনেস্ট, ইটস ওকে টু বি আনডিসাইডেড, অ্যাবসলিউটলি। Just make sure that you know that these two different departments exist in that university. ধরো ব্রাউনে কোনো পলিটিক্যাল সায়েন্স ডিপার্টমেন্ট নাই, তুমি বললে আমি পলিটিক্যাল সায়েন্স পড়তে চাই, তাহলে ওরা সাথে সাথে ক্যান্সেল করে দিবে, লাইক এই ছেলে তো কোনো দেখেই নাই আমাদের ওয়েবসাইটে গিয়ে কি কি আছে।
ছেলে বা মেয়ে। ফেসবুক আমরা যোগাযোগ করব, what's the name of the page? আমাদের পেজ নাই, so পেজের নামও নাই, আমাদের নাম আছে, we can give you that. So I'll put it in the group, in the chat. So my name is Amlan Sinha, and this is Shoiti. Okay, good. I lost track of where.
Will the university give me a specific topic on which I have to write an essay, or can I write any essay on any topic from self-experience? Like I said, prompt গুলো দেওয়া আছে, কিন্তু prompt গুলো very open-ended. তুমি আগে এসেটা লেখো on any topic and then see এই prompt গুলোর মধ্যে কোনটা সবচেয়ে ভালো ম্যাচ করে তোমার এসের সঙ্গে। প্রজ্ঞা, financial problem and leadership after that ঘটনা। ওকে প্রজ্ঞা, আমরা তো এখন চট করে এভাবে শুনে বুঝতে পারবো না, তুমি এসেটা লিখলে পরে যদি দেখি তাহলে আমি বুঝতে পারবো যে ভালো হচ্ছে নাকি না, এভাবে চট করে আসলে।
ও আচ্ছা, she meant in connection with that too.
Saqib said, what's the name of your page? We answered that.
Can I write an essay about a subject which I like most and how it had an impact on life, in my life? A lot of people do that. They talk about their passion for a specific subject. If you can pull it off, that's good.
আমি রেকমেন্ড করব কমন অ্যাপে এটা অ্যাবসলিউটলি না লিখতে। যদি ওয়াই মেজরে লিখতে চাও দ্যাটস ওকে, যে আমি এই সাবজেক্টে আমি প্যাশনেট, এই জন্য আমি এটা মেজর করতে চাই, দ্যাটস ওকে। বাট নো, তুমি say you like, what do you like? You like physics, for example. Say you like physics. There are so many other people who like physics. There are so many other people who have won IPHO. There are so many other people যারা হচ্ছে এতদিনে ফিজিক্সে বড় বড় পেপার লিখে ফেলেছে. So where do you compare with those people? হ্যাঁ, so you writing about your personality is just so personal. কেউ তোমাকে ওখানে তোমার কারোর সাথে কম্পেয়ার করা বা জাজ করার কিছু নাই, but if you say I like physics, বলবে তুমি কি করছো, you like physics, and there are so many others যাদের already physics এ পেপার আছে, যারা বিশাল বিশাল অলিম্পিয়াডে বিশাল বিশাল অ্যাওয়ার্ড নিয়ে আসছে। হ্যাঁ, so it is better not to write about your academic interest in your common app. Why major লেখো, that's okay.
Would you say it's better to choose the write your own prompt on college app? I actually forgot about that. So now if I go back to the previous question, যে কি topic লিখা উচিত, literally anything. So there is a topic here that says you can write an essay on any topic of your choice. So there you go. That we answered both the questions.
Tanjim said, can we talk about how a person got bullied or discouraged, later proved with some achievements? Absolutely, that's a good topic. Nijhar said, what is Education USA? Nijhar, Google.
Would you say it's better to choose the question about the pressure of choosing an appropriate aspect of my personality to reflect in my essay? What was the question? মানে কোন aspect of your personality should you focus on? Well, I mean, that's up to you. এটা আমি বলে দিতে পারবো না, আমি তুমি না, তুমি আমি না, তুমি আমারটা বলতে পারবে না, আমি তোমারটা বলতে পারবো না। So it's up to you. What aspect of your personality do you feel is important?
What are you most proud of, or কোনটা তোমার মনে হয় has gone through a significant amount of change in the last few years?
Can you guys give me the PDF of 50 Harvard essays book? It's linked in the thing in the slides.
Once we send you the PDF PDF of the slides, you can click on the link. Our Google korlo baba, it's Google. Can't stress Google enough.
What should be chosen in this case? I don't know what the thread is, but feel free to ask this question again. Can I connect you with you on Facebook? Actually, just send me a message. I can't promise that I'll get back to you instantly, but I will get back to you as soon as I can.
আরেকটা জিনিস হচ্ছে, a lot of you has sent me friend requests, and probably Omlan as well. Ami at this point I'm not accepting friend requests because I don't know you guys. But on message I'm happy to talk anytime.
I got it. Acha, can I include dialogue in essay? You can. Like we have actually seen this once in the Y major essay for the Brown applicant. At a quote this, it's not really a dialogue, but it's a quote. So it serves the same purpose. And dialogue, dite paro. Amar essay te chilo, and it wasn't like quotation এর ভিতরে dialogue. It wasn't something of that sort, but it was more like I was conversing with the reader. I was telling the reader what I feel. Can I write an essay about a subject which we already answered that.
Can we take your help for proofreading our essays? Melita, proofreading bolte jodi bocha hocche just checking over the grammar and sentence structure, we won't do that. If you are writing an essay and want to get a feedback on mane eta ki bhalo kina, is it a good topic kina, we would be happy to do that, but at the same time keep in mind je prottek bochor application season er age we get tons of requests like that, so tar moddhe we try to get back to as many people as possible, but you also need to understand je amra we do this for free. We are also PhD students with our own PhD lives, which is also very busy. So we'll try our best, is the answer. Will the recording of the essay session be uploaded to Drive? Yes.
Is it okay to present myself through an object, like something that is my favorite? Present myself indirectly.
Yes, I did that. So I mean, my essay was kind of like that. So that's good.
Leadership দেখানোর জন্য কিভাবে লিখলে ভালো? তোমার কোয়েশ্চেন তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছি।
লিডারশিপ দেখানোর জন্য কিভাবে লিখলে ভালো? How do you know আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছিস?
আপু লিডারশিপ দেখানোর জন্য।
লিডারশিপ দেখানোর জন্য কিভাবে?
I hope তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছে।
আমি শিওর না। ওয়েল তুমি ওই তো থ্রু আ স্টোরি যে এরকম একটা সিচুয়েশন ছিল, কেউ স্টেপ আপ করছিল না, সো আই ডিসাইডেড দ্যাট আমি এটা করব, তারপরে তুমি করলা, তারপরে কি হলো? অবভিয়াসলি ইট উইল হাউ কনভিন্সিং ইওর স্টোরিজ, ইট উইল ম্যাটার ডিপেন্ড অন তুমি কত সুন্দর করে লিখতে পারো। অনেক আনবিলিভেবল ঘটনা যখন রাইটাররা সুন্দর করে লেখে আমরা কিন্তু বিশ্বাস করি। হ্যারি পটার আমরা পড়ি, জেকে রাউলিং রাইটস ইট বিউটিফুলি, ওরকম এটা আসলে তো গাঁজাখুরি গল্প, আসলে তো হয় না। উই বিলিভ ইট, we believe those characters exist. ওভাবে লিখতে পারতে হবে। যে তুমি লেখার স্টাইলের উপর অনেক কিছু ডিপেন্ড করে কতটা।
আচ্ছা, I guess we should extend this session a little bit because there seems to be a lot of questions. আমারটা অনেক short. আমার mechanical.
So we will start the next session at like 1:30 because it's online presenting. But we cannot do that for
next week না, next week এটা হবে না, but the week it's fine. Facebook মেসেজ রিপ্লাই পাবো and also help পাবো.
চেষ্টা
ভাই of course মানে আমি যদি মেসেজ দেখি I'll get back to you মানে for sure, but the problem is I'm not very regular on Facebook, so and I only মানে let's hope we connect. Let's
we
just
will
say
make you reader assist if any one of us leaves. Why are you saying?
একটু দাঁড়াও, একজন মেসেজ করছে ম্যাথস পড়ার জন্য কি করা লাগবে? Do you mean math school? We are not very experienced in math school. Shorty can probably answer that.
Check our first week's video. Check our first week's video from this session. We answered that. Can I write an essay on my startup? You can. Absolutely you can, because but just make sure just startup ta niye onno kothao mention na thake, as long as it's something else. It's fine.
Does photography count as an ECA? Let's keep that question for the ECA session. The answer can be yes or no depending on how you present it, but let's keep that for the ECA session.
Ada, not sure how to say that. Can I write about my breakup? It was the turning point of my life and had great impact on me. Absolutely, you can write about your breakup. Just don't focus on your romantic life. Focus on how that changed your personality.
Can you write about breakup? Okay.
What about MBA in finance? We're not
describe the world you came from. How did you write that? Okay, let's see what you mean. So the world I came from. Acha, so there wasn't any point in my essay that I described my background, I think. But does the reader know anything about me by reading my essay? Yes. I hope the reader knows a lot about me after reading the essay. So how do I do that? So when writing is very powerful, right? When you talk about, let's say, you refer to books that you have read, philosophical texts that you have read, or খুব subtle ভাবে কিছু জিনিস বোঝানো যায়. So for example, if I say that, ফ্রয়েডের এই জিনিসটা আমার ভালো লাগছে, বা মানে খুব subtle ভাবে একটা লাইনের একটা ওয়ার্ড দিয়ে we can refer to certain texts that we have read. That gives you a whole lot of information about the person. That tells you what the person is reading, what the person is into. And it's more than saying jo ami ekta a background theke achi. That's boring. No one cares. That doesn't interest the reader. So that's what we're trying to get across. There are interesting ways of saying simple things.
Some people are again asking for the drive link. It should be in your email if you registered through Start Smart, যেটা হচ্ছে the name of this summer workshop. তাহলে you should get an email from us যেখানে drive linkটা আছে। যদি আমাদের সঙ্গে ওইভাবে রেজিস্টার না করে থাকো, এডুকেশন ইউএস এর সঙ্গে, এডুকেশন ইউএস এ নির্ঝর জিজ্ঞেস করছিল why did some people register through education USA? Nirdhar, you're fine. There are no other sessions. You're fine. Education USA has just chosen 2 of our different classes to advertise and broadcast for their audience, এবং সেই থ্রুতে কেউ আমাদের সঙ্গে আজকে জয়েন করেছে। তারা যদি পুরো ওয়ার্কশপটা করতে চাও তাহলে আমাকে বা অনলাইনকে রিচ আউট করো, আমরা তোমাদেরকে ফর্ম পাঠিয়ে দেবো। ফর্ম ফিল আপ করলে উইল সেন্ড ইউ অ্যান ইমেল যেখানে ড্রাইভ লিঙ্কটা থাকবে। Progga asked about some safety road movement and what's my reply? Okay, হ্যাঁ Progga, you can write about that, but exactly কেমন হবে সেটা চট করে তো বলতে পারবো না, but you can try. এবং like we said, multiple version হয় এসের। তুমি সেফটি রোড মুভমেন্ট নিয়ে একটা লেখো, তোমার অন্য একটা ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ক্রাইসিস নিয়ে একটা লেখো, বিভিন্ন টপিক নিয়ে লেখো, তারপরে কয়েকটা কম্পেয়ার করে তুমিই বুঝতে পারবা কোনটা বেশি কম্পেলিং।
Before I move on to the next question, I made Srishti messaged me personally saying that can I write about my imaginary childhood friend? So I think you meant it as a joke, but I think that's a good topic to write on. If you can pull it off, it's a good topic.
Don't message us privately.
I want. Can I write about how I grew up in a hard situation, then how we and my family managed to cope up? Yes, that's a struggle, and that's something that you've dealt with. So yes, of course. What words should I use when it asks me to describe in 5 words? Type of words. That's a good one. We can't. I mean, if you want to answer that, go for it.
Hey, Ki, I mean, describe in 5 words. I would describe
We
I
can tell you the general sense of the words that you should be choosing. Something that hints transformation, or something that relates to personal growth, or
and
I don't know.
Azizul, I'm not sure if the 5 words have to be like a phrase in 5 words or 5 distinct words. তাহলে
No, just talking a question talking a university application and you describe yourself in 5 words, or give 5 words to describe you. I think that's what gives.
I would probably write, I don't know, open to change, something like that. You know. Newtor said, can you please give your essays? We did not do that. I did share one of my essays because I wasn't finding another good example, but we wouldn't do that because এর আগে আমরা করেছি এবং people plagiarize মানে কারো পারমিশন না নিয়ে তার essay reuse করা, and we have had seen people do that এবং that's absolutely unacceptable এবং এখন আমরা এটা করা বন্ধ করে দিয়েছি. We used to share our essays, but for some people misuse that, so we stopped doing that. Can I write about hosting shows?
If you have a story to tell regarding this, then yes. But if it's any ACA is good if you have a story to tell.
Raisha actually shared our sign up form. That's great, Raisha. Thank you. Everyone else, please look at that form and sign up over there. Tanjim Alamarifin, I meant to put my achievement elsewhere in my application and write them in my essay. হ্যাঁ, তানজিম, তুমি লিখতে পারো about what you went through during achieving that thing, but just make sure that it's not like reiterating that list of achievements. যে কোনো একটার উপর ফোকাস করে লিখতে পারো।
বেসিক্যালি রোবট হয়েও না, মানে এই করছি এই ধরনের মনোটোনাস ভাবে না, মানে if you have something interesting to show because of that achievement that you have in your application, তাহলে লিখতে পারো.
Okay, Zuria said, bro, show us intro to Meki. I think she's waiting for that.
All right, let's go. Someone is excited. What point should I include?
Adrota আমাকে privately message করেছে. Adrota, yes, absolutely. You can write that. Private message. It's a little sensitive, তাই আমি বললাম নাকি.
What points should I include if it asks how I can be a suitable addition to the campus diversity? Okay, let's talk about this. So I can give you an idea. So let's say Cornell has weird traditions. Cornell Dragon Day has a bunch of weird things happen in Cornell. So how, if that question was asked to me, how would I approach this? Acha, এটা আমি high school থাকতে তো লিখতাম না because I was probably not would take this chance. But এখন আমি যদি একই application process দিতে চাই, I would probably approach this as follows. So write something along the lines of যে তুমি একটু পাগল টাইপের. What do I mean by that? You let's say you dance in front of random people. Let's say something of that sort, and you can tie it to the campus traditions, the traditions specific to the university. So Proti University, if you don't know this by now, every university has their own set of traditions and weird things that they do. So somehow try your personality, try your crazy immature and mad personality to the traditions that university has. That can be a good way of approaching a question like how can you be a suitable addition to the campus diversity? Because let me tell you, everyone else will write, or most people will write about, oh, I'm a person of color and I'll add to the campus diversity. No one will approach this topic in the crazy way that I'm suggesting, or very few people would do that. So that's what will make you stand out. Meki session, please. Nazmul Saqib, can I have the link to join the whole program because I've joined through Education USA? I think the form, Shoti just shared it. So reminding me of that Chirantan Mohib Bhaiya. Which one? Oh, acha, let's not talk about that. Thank you. Okay. All right. I think, acha, let's take a few more questions. We'll end at 1:30 sharp, and those who are waiting for Meki's session. Meki's session is going to be short, so it's not going to be.
What if I write essay based on the fact that problem solving makes me lose track of time without mentioning my achievements? Ruba, to be honest, to me, if I understand correctly what you're trying to say, it sounds a little cheesy. I would ask you to think very carefully about how you want to present that if you really want to write about that.
A lot of us think, I mean to blatantly bully. there's no good way of, there's probably a more polite way of saying this. I'll not go that way. But let's just say খুব blatantly বললে কি nerdy side-টা we want to highlight that because বাংলাদেশের perspective এরকম যে university like nerdy people. That is true, but at the same time they also like interesting people. So make yourself interesting on paper. আমি problem solve করতে time হারাই ফেলছি, ঠিক আছে, that shows you're passionate. But instead of writing down problem solve করতে time হারাই ফেলছি, sound more interesting. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to discourage you from writing. That's a good topic to write on.
If I don't connect through Education USA, would I miss anything? Oh, no, Neutral, you wouldn't miss anything. The track you're on is the whole session. It's fine. Azizul, do you think a hopeful essay is better than sad but encouraging topic? এটা compare করা আসলে difficult.
That's a very interesting question. I don't think there is an answer to this. I think both can be equally moving and compelling.
It depends on how you're writing it. একজন জিজ্ঞেস করেছিল যে ফর্ম একবার সাবমিট করেছি আরেকবার কি করব কিনা। আরেকবার করো, যদি কনফিউশন থাকে, দুইবার এন্ট্রি হলে সমস্যা নাই, probably get 2 emails, that's okay. One of the topics from my ed is if you were a superhero, what would be my superpower? That's a common here. হ্যাঁ, এটা you can write about so many things. Labiba is asking, how do I make this interesting? এটা আসলে তোমারই চিন্তা করতে হবে. I'm not sure. Try to think out of the box. হ্যাঁ, don't be like আমি invisible হয়ে যেতে পারি অথবা আমি উঠতে পারি. Don't write the usual things that superheroes have. Write something else you really wish এরকম হলে তো ভালোই হতো. So think about it. কি different জিনিস করা যায়.
এরকম উদ্ভট প্রশ্নগুলো না আমাদের একটু সময় লাগবে আসলে চিন্তা করে অ্যানসার বের করতে। অন দ্য স্পট বললে because we didn't go through this process, the exact same question, so it's going to take us a while.
তাছাড়া আমি যেভাবে চিন্তা করব তুমি ওইভাবে করবে না। আমি তোমাকে একটা বলে দিলে ওটা হবে না তোমার জন্য, because that's not you, that's me. Mushfiqur বলছে, how logical is it to write essay about my struggle to become a cultural person when the university basically shows that they have rich athletes as their students? All universities have rich athletes as their student, but they still are really striving to become a cultural place. That's okay. Showcasing that is perfectly fine.
আরেকজন জিজ্ঞাসা করছিল, not anywhere near, but অনেক আগে, যে I forget, something along the lines of Western, basically the idea was that Western culture কে bash করে নিজের কালচার কে highlight করা যাবে কিনা এসেতে, and absolutely not. No one likes derogatory comments. You should, like we said, insensitive জিনিসপত্র avoid করা উচিত, avoid না করলে তোমার তো কোনো চান্সই নেই ইউনিভার্সিটি ঢোকার. So don't sound insensitive towards the Western culture. They're okay. Pretty good.
Someone privately messaged me, that our sexuality and struggles with religion too controversial to write about on the essay. It is not. You can write it. Just make sure you're not being insensitive. If you are of one particular sexuality, make sure that you're not being insensitive to other people of other sexuality. If you are a person from one religion and you're having a difficult time to come to terms with the things your religion says, don't assume that that's the truth for everyone else. There are people jara oi religion e khub bhalobashe dharmotake, ঠিক আছে, and respect their wishes and be mindful of how you word your sentences. ঠিক আছে, এটুকুই বলবো, but it's absolutely a good topic to write about, controversial hole.
US university gulo they thrive for diversity. Diversity শুধু skin tone or color and race না, it has about perspectives as well. It's about thinking.
Azizul, we will not answer that question today.
আচ্ছা, এইটা আমি একটু অ্যানসার করার চেষ্টা করি। সেটা হচ্ছে গিয়ে এখনো যাই না রে ভাই, আমরাও একই সিচুয়েশনে। প্রবলেমটা হচ্ছে কি, ওরা যারা রিলিজ করছে এই স্টেটমেন্টটা, ওরা এখনো কোনো লিগ্যাল কোনো বানায় নাই, কোনো লিগ্যাল ক্লজ এখনো রিলিজ করেনি। It's hard, even the universities don't know what's happening. They file a lawsuit, but it's not clear what the policies are. So it's hard to answer that question at this point. Let's hope it gets sorted out.
We hope that you don't get discouraged for applying. I definitely will be, given the circumstances, should the USA apply করো না, Canada অন্যান্য দেশেও করো, but USA তো definitely apply করো. This shouldn't discourage you from applying. Because তোমরা যারা এখন মাত্র ক্লাস 11 এ, তারা অ্যাপ্লাই করে করে যেতে যেতে হয়তো ট্রাম্প might not even be in power. He might very well be, but he might also not be. তখন all these rules would change. ঠিক আছে? So don't মানে everything would change. Coronavirus situation would improve, political situation would improve or not improve. So apply করো. So I think
last question. Can I? So someone asked in a private channel. Can I write about COVID-19 and its effect in business? Yes. If it's a good narrative and if it compels the reader in certain ways, yeah, of course.
So আমরা এখানে তাহলে এন্ড করি আমরা স্যাট এক্সাম দিয়ে আসলে আমরা এখন
Let's talk about that in the ACT.
হ্যাঁ নেক্সট সেশনে করব তো এখন আমরা ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং সেশনটা শুরু করি many people are waiting for that
Yes. All right.
so I'm going to stop recording and